Hello, my name is Erin O'Brien, and I am with the Eat Right Philly Nutrition Program in the district. I am here to show you how you can use the Eat Right Philly curriculum in an asynchronous setting. Today, we are going to take a look at the Go and Grow with the Food Groups lesson for K-2 classrooms. The Eat Right Philly curriculum is designed so that each lesson can be used either as a synchronous or asynchronous lesson. Each lesson includes goals and objectives, both national and PA standards, cross-curricular connections, key vocabulary words, and links to virtual learning options. Each lesson is broken down into sections. The lesson plan begins with an introduction and an anticipatory set, which contains an in-class and virtual option for presenting and reviewing the story, The Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. The developmental section provides the content of the lesson. In an asynchronous lesson, the Go and Grow with Food Groups Google Slide activity will contain both the developmental and activity section of the lesson plan. Let's take a look at the virtual learning activities. When you click on a link to a virtual learning option, you will be prompted to make a copy. This is done so that you will now have your own copy that you can add to your Google Classroom or other learning management system. You can also add a link to a Bitmoji classroom, but it is important that you use the forced copy link so that students will then be able to manipulate the activities in the Google Slides without affecting the original slide deck. If you are adding the slide decks to your own Google Classroom, you can set it so that it will make a copy for each student. The lesson we are going to look at today, Go and Grow with Food Groups, contains 2 Google Slide activities. I've added both of these activities to a Bitmoji classroom as an example. The first activity is the Hungry Caterpillar. In this activity, students will watch the YouTube read aloud of The Hungry Caterpillar by clicking on the link to the YouTube story. Once the students have read along with the story, they can then complete the activities on the following slides. Each slide in this activity uses a drag and drop method of reinforcing the message of the story. On the first slide, students will have to recall how many of each food the caterpillar ate on each day of the week and drag the food into the correct box. On the next slide, students will need to identify the written number for each picture of food and drag the word onto the line below the picture. In the next slide, students will identify healthy foods from a variety of options. They will click on the circle and drag the circle over to around the healthy foods. Finally, students will sort foods into sections based on whether they are always or healthy foods versus sometimes or unhealthy foods. Students will drag the foods into the correct box. On the last slide, students will be congratulated for making healthy choices, just like the hungry caterpillar. The second activity, Go and Grow with Food Groups, contains the content of the lesson. If you click on the title, it will take you to the next set of Google Slides. In this slide deck, students will read through to learn about My Plate being a healthy guide to eating and learn about each of the 5 food groups. Once students have read through the content, they will need to identify healthy foods in each group by dragging the correct foods onto the plate. On this slide, students will drag 2 fruits onto the plate. On the next slide, students will drag 5 vegetables onto the plate. These activities are also encouraging students to read and identify numbers. Students will continue through each food group, dragging the right foods onto the plate that belong in each group. Once completed, students can now submit their copy of the completed slides to be used as a grade. Thank you for your time in learning about how this lesson can be used in your asynchronous classroom. For more information on how you can receive this and other lessons, please contact me at eobrien@philasd.org or visit our school wellness website at sites.google.com/philasd.org/ERP.